This is where the mindset really shifts. So, smart business owners don't view capital as a last ditch effort when something goes wrong. They see it as a tool, just like marketing, hiring, or technology. They also understand that timing often matters more than chasing the absolute lowest rate. Missing an opportunity, delaying payroll, or putting off growth can cost more than the difference in pricing. Another big difference is that successful owners don't assume that one solution fits every situation. Different needs require different tools, and that flexibility is key. And finally, they don't rely on one approval, one lender, or just one conversation. Flexibility beats one time approvals every single time. This mindset is what allows businesses to grow intentionally instead of reactively. Now, I do want to spend a few minutes here because this is one of the most important parts of today's conversation. And before I walk through these, I want to be very clear about something. This is not about judgment. So, these are incredibly common patterns that we see with smart, capable business owners every day. The first mistake is only talking to one lender. A lot of owners assume that if one bank or one provider says no, that's the end of the road. But in reality, every lender looks at businesses differently. One might focus heavily on credit score, another on revenue, another on time in business. So when owners only have one conversation, they're not actually learning what's possible, they're just getting one opinion. The second mistake is waiting until the situation feels urgent. So this usually happens because owners are busy and financing isn't something that anyone wants to actually think about unless they have to. But when you wait until it's urgent, payroll is tight, equipment breaks, or an opportunity has a deadline, your options naturally become more limited. Having visibility before things feel urgent almost always leads to better decisions and less stress. The third mistake is choosing speed without understanding fit. So, speed does matter, especially for cash flow gaps or emergencies, but speed alone should not be the deciding factor. The fastest option isn't always the healthiest option for the business long term. And when owners don't understand how a solution fits into their overall cash flow, they sometimes solve one problem and create another one down the road. The very last mistake that we see all the time is assuming that a no means there are no options. A no usually just means that specific option didn't fit at that very moment. It doesn't mean the business is unhealthy, and it doesn't mean there aren't other paths that could actually make sense. The goal isn't to avoid mistakes perfectly, it's to avoid being boxed into decisions without enough information. And that's what having access to multiple options really changes. When we talk about smart capital, we're really talking about alignment. So, short term needs should be handled with short term solutions. If you're dealing with a timing gap or an unexpected expense, locking yourself into something long and rigid usually creates more stress down the road. On the other hand, growth initiatives, things like expansion, hiring, or equipment, work best with planned funding that matches the timeline of the return. When cash flow gaps pop up, speed and flexibility matter more than almost anything else. And having access to the right tool at the right time can make all the difference. Ultimately, the most important takeaway here is that the right solution depends on the specific situation for your business in that very moment. There is no universal answer. Now, if we could pause for a second and talk mindset, and if you could think about this next question: when do you usually think about financing? What we usually see is that most business owners only think about financing when something feels urgent. And this is exactly why having visibility before things feel urgent changes the experience completely. One of the biggest challenges that business owners face is that they're usually only shown one option at a time. The reality is, no single lender is a perfect fit for every business, or even for the same business in different situations. Approval criteria can vary widely. So, one provider might focus heavily on credit score, another on revenue, another on time in business. So, a no from one doesn't mean a no everywhere. Different situations also call for different tools. The right solution for a short term cash flow gap is not the same as the right solution for long term growth. And when business owners have access to multiple options, they're able to make better, more informed decisions and ultimately get better outcomes. And this is why having options isn't just helpful, it is critical. At this point, the question becomes, how do you explore options without turning it into a drawn out, frustrating process? A smarter approach starts with a single, secure application, not multiple conversations, not multiple forms, and not starting over every time you talk to someone new. From there, instead of being shown one option, you're able to see multiple financing possibilities that are actually relevant to your business. Those options are matched based on your specific profile. So things like your revenue, time in business, and overall needs, not a generic checklist. And just as importantly, exploring those options doesn't lock you into anything. There's no obligation to move forward unless something truly makes sense for you. And this approach gives business owners clarity and control instead of pressure. So, where do we come into all of this? At AMP, our role is not to push a specific product or a lender. We start by understanding your business goals, what you're trying to accomplish, and why. From there, we help business owners explore multiple options rather than being locked into a single path or a single conversation. We pay close attention to fit, timing, and also flexibility because those factors usually matter more than just checking a box or chasing the lowest advertised rate. And most importantly, we don't disappear after just one conversation. Our goal is to be a long term partner as your business evolves and your needs continue to change. This approach allows business owners to make informed decisions instead of rushed ones. One thing that's important to understand is how we think about risk. Risk isn't just about credit scores or numbers on paper. Real risk is misalignment, using the wrong type of capital for the situation. When businesses feel stressed by financing, it's usually not because they use capital, it's because the structure didn't match the need. And our focus is helping business owners avoid that mismatch. This conversation is educational, so it is designed to help business owners understand how to think about capital and how to explore options more intelligently, not to sell you something on the spot. Exploring options does not obligate you to move forward with anything. There's no pressure, no requirement, and no expectation that you take a next step unless it truly makes sense for you and your business at that time. Our goal is clarity. So when business owners understand what's available and how different tools work, they're able to make better decisions, whether that's today, next month, or farther on down the road. We believe informed decisions are always better than rushed ones. And I do want to slow down here for just a moment because there is a lot of misinformation around business financing. So, this is not about taking on debt just because it's available. It's not about chasing the biggest dollar amount. It's not about stacking multiple options on top of each other. And it's definitely not about making decisions under pressure. The goal is alignment. So, using capital intentionally to support the business and not stress it. So let's walk through how this works at a very high level. Everything starts with one secure application. So instead of filling out multiple forms or repeating the same information over and over, business owners provide their information once. From there, the system is going to use intelligent matching to identify financing options that align with your specific business profile. So things like revenue, time in business, industry, and what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Those options can then be reviewed side by side, which makes it much easier to compare and understand what may be available to you. You also gain access to an online portal that provides ongoing visibility into available offers and updates over time. As your business changes and grows, those opportunities may change as well based on factors like business performance and overall financial health. And this is important because business health changes over time. Maybe 6 months from now, revenue is stronger, cash flow has improved, or the business has grown into a different stage. The portal gives owners visibility over time instead of turning financing into a one time conversation. A lot of business owners tell us that they appreciate simply being able to log in, understand where things stand, and then seeing what may be available without feeling pressured at all to immediately make a decision. And importantly, reviewing those options does not mean that you're committed to anything or required to actually move forward. The process is designed to give you visibility and information first so that you can make decisions on your own timeline. You stay in control the entire time. You decide whether to move forward, which option, if any, makes sense, and when to take the next step. Ultimately, this process is designed to replace confusion with clarity and give business owners a more transparent way to explore their options. When business owners experience this approach for the first time, the feedback is usually very consistent. First, it saves an incredible amount of time. So instead of having the same conversation over and over again with different people, everything is centralized and streamlined. It also provides visibility because business owners aren't guessing or hoping that something works. They can actually see what options exist for their business. That clarity reduces frustration and uncertainty, which are two of the biggest stressors when it comes to financing. And ultimately, it puts control back where it belongs with the business owner. You're able to make decisions based on information and not pressure. This approach supports a wide range of real world business situations. For some owners, it's about managing cash flow timing, making sure payroll, inventory, or operating expenses are covered while waiting on receivables. For others, it's about funding growth or expansion. So things like hiring, marketing, opening a new location, or purchasing equipment. And sometimes it's simply about handling unexpected expenses. Things break, surprises happen, and having options can make those moments feel far less stressful. And for many business owners, it's also about planning ahead. So making sure capital is available before an opportunity or need arises rather than reacting at the very last minute. The key takeaway here is that different needs call for different approaches. Any one of these could feel relevant for you right now. Cash flow timing, growth or expansion, unexpected expense, or planning ahead. Everyone's need could be entirely different. What we usually see is that those needs are very spread out. So some owners are focused on cash flow timing, others on growth, and others on planning ahead. That variety is exactly why one size fits all solutions do not work. Different needs require different approaches. One of the biggest mistakes that business owners make is trying to force the same solution to solve every problem. Short term cash flow gaps usually need short term flexibility, something that can bridge timing issues without creating long term strain. Growth initiatives, on the other hand, work best with structured planning, whether you're investing in expansion or you want funding that aligns with the timeline of the return. Emergencies are a different situation entirely. When something unexpected happens, speed and access matter far more than perfection. And for long term goals, stability becomes important. Solutions that support the business over time instead of adding volatility. The key takeaway here is simple: the right tool depends on the need, the timing, and the bigger picture of the business.